Good morning. So we have we have almost done actually. Now it is the last week of our class, and I hope to have to join us a few of our friends. Maybe you can wait for a minute. Okay, so I think we can start right now. Okay, so before we start, shall we just pray to the triple gem? How much? Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. So we are praying to the, we are start with the blessing of triple gem, the Buddha, the Dharma, this teaching, and the community, the Sangha. Okay, so we have done so far. We have done councils, Buddhist council. First, as we remember that we have done until the fourth Buddhist council. So I think you will remember that the last class we discussed about the Sarvastivada tradition after fourth Buddhist council. What happened in the India, in the South India as well. So in this after fourth Buddhist council, as we discussed that. Some Buddhist missionary, and it was sent to the different countries, and Buddhism was, the Dharma was started to propagate it, and it actually flourished all over the India during that period. Excuse me. Yeah. Okay. So now we had discussed about that after the fourth Buddhist council. During that time. Uh, from South India to China, there's some trading. So some business was going on. So those route was known as Silk Road. So over the Silk Road, Buddhism from Kashmir, Gandhara, Buddhism was started to spreading, and all along the way to China. So the Silk Road produced a lot of historical. Silk Road played a very important role in the propagation of Dharma in India and outside of India. Over by the Silk Road, I mean, actually Silk Road was created for trading. So China and India, they started to some business. So China had interested, the mainland China, they have interest to buy silk from India. So therefore, the route was, the famous traveler Marco Polo. He mentioned this route as a Silk Road. So anyway, the route, I showed one map according to some research. So in this map, you can see that the Bactria, Oasis, and the eastern part of China, and the Silk Route was extended into the Persia or Russia too, and also the Silk Route. It was not only from North India, South India, and Pakistan, Afghanistan, or China, but also it all extended until Greece. So over this route, when the businessman, the exchange, like this last class, we talk about that how the India got idea about the statue and Buddhist statue. In the same way, same way like the businessman, and also some scholars, they introduced the Dharma to along the Silk Road. The people who is going to business with the tradings between India and China and other countries. So by this way, Sarvastivada tradition mostly that propagated. And then, when you say propagation of Buddhism, so it was have a lot of contribution from many kings, from since the Buddha's time to until the 11th century. So today we will discuss mostly about the rise and fall of Buddhism in India. So I like to give you a brief idea. How the Dharma was spread it throughout India. So here, in this map, you can see that, okay, I give it a brief. In this map, you can see that during the time of the Buddha, the teaching was known in 16 states, so which are known as 16 Janapadas. Janapada is, you can say, like, you can translate as a one region or 16 country or states. So according to the scriptures, mostly Pali, both Pali and Sanskrit scriptural records, they mention that within the six, Buddha never traveled beyond these 16 states. So within the 16 state, the Buddha's teaching almost well known. So within the 16th state, the North Indian part, mostly that we can see the Magadha state and Koshala state, Anga, Briji. So this area are very the teaching was extraordinarily flourished. Magadha, I mean this area at the moment present day we known as we tell Uttara Pradesh or North India. Anga is both Bangladesh or also the West Bengal, which is known as present day Calcutta, or Briji, Kashi, Magadha. All these are Bihar states. So Buddha occupied in this region mostly, and so after the Buddha's demise, Mahaparinirvana, then as we know that 3 months later the first council held, 100 years later the second council, and a few hundred years later third council and fourth council was held. So each of the council contributed to propagate the Dharma. So during the Buddha's time, Buddha had one advantage since he was born in a royal family. So that he easily access to the royal court, any of the any of the royal court during the 16 regions. So he had a great friend, King Bimbisara, and from Magadha state, and King Koshala, like which is known as King Prasenjit. They already became a very good friend of the Buddha. So Buddha had some policy, like he understood that if the king follow the Dharma, and it very easier for him to spread the Dharma among the local people. So after he became enlightenment, and as we know that we discussed that he thought about the turning the wheel in the Dharma in Varanasi. And after this, he went to Magadha. And Magadha was, at the time the king was King Bimbisara. So he immediately he met the king, and he told him that I was understood these teachings, and he gave a brief talk about Eightfold Noble Path and the basic precepts to the King Bimbisara. So King Bimbisara, convinced by the teaching of the Buddha, afterwards, King Bimbisara asked us Buddha that you can be stay in my region, so you can propagate, you can be teach. So Buddha was started to teach, from Magadha. So a lot of followers follow him, and then slowly his name was getting well known in other regions. Then he started to talk about his understanding and his teaching to Koshala, Anga, Briji, and all over the 16 states. So each of the state Buddha went, he had lots of followers, and it was interesting that the way he propagated the Dharma, he did not need to participate any war or any violence. I mean, just he did it without any kind of, it's very extraordinary somehow. And In the time of the Buddha, the 6th century BCE, there was another teacher. His name Mahavira, who is known as founder of Jainism. So Jainism is the one religion in India which is still a little bit, you can say, not much. So it became more popular. And the founder of Jainism, Mahavira, interestingly, he also from royal family. And another one is the Prince Siddhartha or Buddha. He also from royal family. So a lot of people following both of the groups. So Jainism, had a much impact to compile the Buddhist Vinaya or Buddha's Vinaya means discipline. It was mostly using for monks actually, the term, but Vinaya is for, despite commonly used for monk, but Vinaya is for lay people and monks. Vinaya means disciplines. Sometimes Vinaya is translated as monastic codes. So I'm talking about most of the monastic codes from in the Buddhism was arrived when they have a conflict between the Buddha's teaching and the Mahavira Jainism and his teaching. So, but the difference between the Jainism, and Buddhism is that, like Jainism, they have a nihilism, a kind of that they think that they believe nihilist viewpoint somehow. Like nihilism means they don't believe karma. They say that after you died, so there is nothing. I mean, the somehow like it is like a kind of extreme viewpoint. So, because if we think out that the general standpoint, believing karma, it provides insights what should do, what should not do. So people at least have some discipline. I need to do the produce something good and make this make the world better for tomorrow. Or and if I do good, if I concern to the environmental factor, if I concern to save water, or or not cutting the trees, it can be produced that like it can help us for not from deforestation, from from lack of water. So it's a bit karma is a bit practical aspect that always provide insight. Doing good things come to you back. Doing bad, of course, the unwholesome consequence will be much. So the key concept between the Mahavira and the Buddha, Mahavira, they don't have the concept of karma, whereas the Buddha has he emphasized the notion of karma. So therefore, Buddha's teaching is propagated very much. And another important part to Buddha was successful in India because he is the one teacher who did not, he did not follow the divisions of such as you say caste system. So in India, that period, it was too much, like the caste system in India. They have a four classes. The one is known as the king, and those people who rules the country. And another one is number two is a Brahmin, those who are preaching the teaching, and they claim that they are came from the God's mouth. That's why they are the authorized to teach for others. So they make the law, all the Brahmin. And Brahmin and the rulers, they are known as the high class, aristocratic society. And the businessmen is a number three, those who are doing the normal tradings. And the lowest society are the Shudra, or those who is like works for others, a labor. So and they are doing all the Brahmin and the rulers and businessmen, they treat the Shudra people, like lower caste people, as like a slaves. So it was a too much discriminations, between the each of the class. The Buddha was somehow like a revolutionist way. He mentioned he transformed, he changed the concept of Brahmin. He said that you are talking about yourself as a Brahmin, like Brahma is known as the highest god. So that's why they say from Brahma the word Brahmin came. So this Brahmin people claim that we are came from the Brahma's mouth. That's why we are Brahmin, and we have authorized to teach others, and we are noble men. But Buddha changed this concept. He told the people that, well, you can't be Brahmin by your born. You can be Brahmin by your action. So he changed this their viewpoint, and people were very impressed. And Brahmin that could not take advantage from society, and somehow they need to be break down their policy. So Buddha said that Brahmin, the people who is claim they are noble man, they are as a in a linguistic, in an ancient Indian language, they say Brahmin. So you once can be claimed as a noble man, those who follow the precepts, those who follow the system, those who believe in karma, those who contribute something good for others. That's this way they can be claimed they are Brahmin. So, however, all these teachings, like it touch general people's heart, so that people came out, they can become within their right. They know their basic rights, basic principle, and what should do and what should not do. So by this way, all the 16 states in ancient India, the Buddha's teaching were propagated. So according to my understanding and from the scriptures, there are two main kings. Buddha had a great friend during his time. One was the king Bimbisara, and another was the king Prashanji or King Prashanaji. So both of the kings, one from King Magadha and another is King Koshala. Actually, both states, very powerful states. So, and Magadha and Koshala, they are actually neighborhood, but sometimes they have a fight to each others. But Buddha, he was strongly stopped the fighting, and we can find some historical background from the scriptures about the fighting. So, however, his way, like non-violence, ahimsa, as we use the term ahimsa from Gandhi actually, but this ahimsa, this term was very old concept in India. Non-violence way is help to contribute to propagate the teachings all over the India. And there are many incidents happen actually between the Buddha and other normal people. Like once king after the king Bimbisara passed away, his child King Ajatashatru, he attempt to fight with the Shakya people. Shakya is the clan of the clan in another republican state where the Buddha came from. His dynasty, Shakya dynasty actually. So at present day it is located in Nepal and some part in northern India. So when the Ajatashatru was attempting to fight with the Shakya kingdom, Buddha was extraordinarily stand up, and he went to this battlefield, and he stood up with him in between the two groups, and he told them that don't do that. We should stop the fighting. And interestingly, twice both of the group they are stopped. They respect to the Buddha, but in the third time, unfortunately, Ajatashatru he attacked this Shakya kingdom. It was very painful. I mean, he brutally killed you know uh, all the people, all the royal people from Shakya state. But however, Buddha somehow first two times he able to stop the war, and he give this teaching to those people that war can't make you, I mean, peace. It's a hatred can't appeased to the peace. So by hatred, you can't be producing more hatred. You can't be contribute a peaceful movement. This teaching he was taught in the battlefield. So and another time, when the people are people have some conflict between the King Koshala state and the Shakya state for the water. So there's one river, Rohini River. The river was located in between the two kingdoms. One is Shakya kingdom and Koshala kingdom. So both of the people, both groups, they are claiming water from from this river. So because of, I mean, they have a conflict. They say that no, this water, Shakya kingdom said we have a right to take water, not you people. And the people from Koshala state, they claim, no, you don't have the right. We have a right to take this water. So both of the groups were fighting. And when the Buddha heard this incident, he immediately went this battlefield and he stopped. He said that, listen, this water, fighting for water, it doesn't make sense. You are doing some childish behavior. So you can't be kill to each other only for water for this reason. And it's not violence, not be appreciated by anyone. So everybody has the right to take this water. So he successfully stopped their fighting. So in this, I mean, there are some like this. There are many incidents held, and it was very non-violence way. So because of his non-violence behavior, the Dharma was propagated, and all of the kings from the 16 states, they're impressed by from the teachings of the Buddha and the Buddha's personalities. And of course, according another thing, he had a wonderful charismatic personality. So according to the scriptures, it mentioned that he has a good voice. He knew how to speak, and he knew how to talk the right things at the right moment. Maybe that is another good character that helped the Buddha to make a good friend with the kings and also with the people. And the most important that he taught to others to look the people as a human being, and everybody have equal rights. So when Buddha established his noble sangha, he offered, I mean, he allowed the female and women to enter into the sangha or being a nun or female monk. And that is amazing during that period regarding this context of India, because women could not be allowed to follow the ascetic life. But it was wonderful that Buddha offered them, warm-heartedly told them, okay, you also allow to follow, to practice the path, similar to the male. And Buddha appreciated both male and female as a same way. And he said that there is the no discrimination, no difference, and everyone has a opportunity, potentiality to become a enlightenment or awakening. And apart from offering the women's women right, and it was impressive, like providing the equality to every people from every state, so that the people from lower caste, like who is from barber cutting hair or who is from farming, they also came into the sangha. So as we remember that during the first Buddhist council, there is a one monk, one chief disciple, his name Upali, who is known as expertise in discipline. So this monk Upali came from Barbar, like those people, during that time, Barbar people are considered as the lowest caste. But Buddha said that, I mean, when he came as a layperson and he convinced by the from the teaching of the Buddha, and he asked the blessed one, I would like to become, I would like to enter into the Sangha, and I want to be monk. So Buddha warm-heartedly allowed him, please become a monk. And he, later on, he became more successful and expertise in discipline. So therefore, during the first Buddhist council, Upali was he was appointed to recite all the monastic codes and discipline. So, however, this Upali came from originally he came from the lowest caste. So it was wonderful that he offered the same right, same freedom for everyone. So that's why a lot of general people, normal people, and they enter into Sangha, they follow the path. And another thing I like to mention that, as you know, that Buddhist tradition, the monks, they depend on people's support. So every morning, the monks go for alms round. They have a bowl. They go for alms round around the village, and people offer food, and those food they take, they bring back to the monastery, and they eat. You know, the monks normally eat for once. Once one day one meal, so more, according to the ancient tradition. But at the moment it is a bit changed, a bit different. But some monastery they strictly follow these rules. So when the Buddha, goes for alms round, if some people invite him to take food into their house, he most of time he accepted. So he not only go and speak to the, the people who can afford to offer the food, but also he did the same treatment for everyone. He did not have a judgment. He did not judge that he can offer food or he is rich or he is poor. And this thing, like a lot of people from the those who are poor, they are motivated. They say that okay, the now we have a hope, the blessed one, who is recognized by every specs, every classes from the society. He is taking food in my house or accept my food or accept my offerings. So it was help him. It was uh, contributed the Dharma. Buddha and Buddha's disciple, very rapidly, they got they got accepted by the society. So this is the another reason that Dharma was widely spread throughout all the 16 states in India. So now I like to mention that so it was so far we talk about the during the time of the Dharma, during the time of the Buddha. Now after Buddha's passed away, then there are two kings we already discussed in our previous classes: King Emperor Ashoka and Emperor Kanishka. They have a major contribution, and those kings have not only propagated the Dharma. Both of these kings, they produced a lot of things. They made a temple, monasteries, caves, stupas all over the India, and they sent Dharma missionaries into different regions. Apart from supporting to establish monastery, those king and their dynasty, they support the scholars. to produce literatures as well. So therefore, all the Abhidharmika traditions evolved. So as we know that in the time of Third Buddhist Council, the Vivajjavada Abhidharma, we know that 7 texts from Vivajjavada Abhidharma, it was, and Vivajjavada later on known as Theravada. So 7 Theravada Abhidharma texts we can found after the Third Buddhist Council. And after Fourth Buddhist Council, like 300 years later, after the Third Council, the Sarvastivada Abhidharma text evolved. As this tradition we discussed our last class already. So Kushan dynasty have a, like a extraordinary contribution, such as like King Ashoka. And now we are providing a little information, a brief information, what happened after Kushan dynasty. So after Kushan dynasty, from the 3rd century, Kushan dynasty ruled the India for 350 years until 3rd century. But it was from mostly their capital. It has a 2 capital actually. One is Kashmir, and another one is Purushapura, or present-day Pakistan, Peshawar. There are 2 capital for Kushan emperor, because it was so big dynasty, so very very vast, very wide. It's the cover not only India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, the present day, like some part of China too. It was very big kingdoms. So after Kushan dynasty fall down, so from North India, Gupta dynasty appeared. So during the Gupta dynasty, Buddhism again that flourished in another way. So it's mostly they flourished in North India. So Gupta dynasty ruled India for nearly 300 years, approximately 10 years or 306, sorry, yeah, 310 years, yeah, Gupta dynasty. So Gupta dynasty, one very amazing thing is that they not only support Buddhism, they also support Hindu philosophy and Hinduism too. So during the time of Gupta dynasty, it says that golden time for Dharma. Actually, it have a reason. It was mentioned by scholar Tharanath, one very famous Tibetan scholars. Uh, so they have a reason why the Gupta dynasty was mentioned as a golden time. Actually, because during this time, of course, the Buddhist art was initiated from Kanishka or Kushan dynasty, and during the time of Gupta dynasty, Buddhist art transformed as a, Indian way. All the faces transform into the Indian, like a Kanishka's time, we see the Buddha's face, Buddha's image, like a European style. But during the time of Gupta dynasty, Buddha's face back to the Indian style. And even in many Hindu gods, also we can see that they have an Indian face. So during the time of Gupta dynasty, all the pilgrimage areas, the Buddhist site such as Bodh Gaya, Lumbini, Saranath, Kushinada, Shankasha, and this zone, like they are renovated, and amazing art we can see actually from that time. So I give you just it is the one picture. Excuse me. So this is the image of the Mahabodhi temple. So those who visit there, and you can see that every single every single details there. There has a lot of Buddha image you can see here in this part, but it is very big. Very very tall also as well. It is still the highest tallest tower. Tallest monument in the Bihar state. So all this monument was built up by the Gupta king. So it is just one example we still have, but there are so many, arts, so many beautiful arts, evolved during the time of, Gupta dynasty. So one important thing in the time of Gupta dynasty, they the Nalanda traditions, Nalanda University came to the form as a university. So as we know that this is a very big, huge topic, Nalanda University was considered as the first university in the world civilization. They have a systematic way, study. So it was flourished from 2nd century to the 11th century, until the when the people invader from Middle East Asia arrived to India. Until this period, it was flourished extraordinarily in all over the India. So now you can see that, Nalanda is a place located in North India. So during the time of the Gupta dynasty, they offer 24 villages just for supporting this university. Or we say in Indian language, we say Mahavihara. Because as you know that in the past, the country that depend on tax. So the tax are like not like they don't have a printing paper, printing money. They exchange the tax by food, mostly about the rice or white, and other crops. So Gupta king, he offered 24 villages. That means around the Nalanda, 24 villages, the tax he's supposed to receive, the king supposed to receive, he said, no, you don't have to give the tax. All the profit you should give to the, send to this university. Just we want to support the university education, support the scholars and the students. So the name of fame and Nalanda was spread outside of India too. And as you know, famous Chinese pilgrimage, uh, Master Zhuangzhang, or as someone said that, sometimes it pronounced in Indian way, Yuan Shang, Master, or Chinese say Master Zhuangzhang. He was a student of Nalanda University. And another one, Fahian or Fajian. So Master Fahian from the Chinese, the, mostly that we know that the history of Nalanda from the record of Master Fahian and Master Zhuangzhang, both from China. So they studied there, and they bring back the tradition, the text into China, mainland China, and translate it into Chinese language. So we know a lot of information still from the Chinese sources. So anyway, the Nalanda tradition, it was a very rich traditions, and it was started from in the time of the Gupta dynasty. So as we know that, Nalanda, I just give you some brief idea. There are the many scholars from Nalanda University who enrich the Buddhist scholasticism. So Gupta dynasty, they warm-heartedly support to 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 scholars, to students, to monks for contribute their literatures, teachings, and writing books. And during that period, a lot of texts were written. So Nalanda tradition, Nalanda is a, at the moment I just make you clear, Nalanda is a place, and it is located in the North India. So in Nalanda, you have a historical background too. In this place, uh, where the university was established, it was the birthplace of the Shariputra. Shariputra was one of the chief disciple of Buddha. Buddha had two main disciple, chief disciple. One is Shariputra and another one is Maggalayana. So Shariputra was expert in the teachings and also sutra discourses. So who he was born in the village of Nalanda. Later on, in this zone, Buddha also visit many times there and became like a auspicious zone. And later on, in this area, like Nalanda area, a lot of monks and scholars living together. So since they are staying together, they produce many literatures. So from this concept, like Nalanda University, established during the time of Gupta dynasty. So it have a long history, but among the, from second century to the until 11th century, so it's about 900 years story. So among these 900 years, we are we most of the scholar they recognize 17 main scholar from Nalanda who is the main contributed the Nalanda traditions. So Nagarjuna, he known as one of the pioneer scholar from Nalanda tradition. So Nagarjuna was one of the greatest scholars who lived in from the second century, first century to this, 150 to 250 CE during that period. So as we know that he has a very long contribution. And Chinese tradition, they mention that based on Nagarjuna's concept of emptiness, Mahayana teachings evolved. So Nagarjuna used the term emptiness. Emptiness is a vast topic, but as a general, I just explained to you, emptiness is translated as a non-self or another form of nirvana. So emptiness, Buddha also used the emptiness as for metaphoric way. We can find the term emptiness in the main discourse, mainstream sutra, not many, a few times. And one sutra I remember is the Chula Sunyata. I mean, Sunyata means emptiness or empty voidness. In the sutra, Buddha said, if you need to practice meditation, you sit under the tree, sit gently as well, and close your eyes, or feel like an empty sky. So he used the term empty a few times, but in for metaphoric way. And just say that you have to have a no thinking, no mind, no thinking. But Nagarjuna, 800 years later, after the Buddhas passed away, he used the term emptiness to defense for all the philosophical arguments. And he said that the teaching of dependent origination is the transform as understanding of emptiness. And Nagarjuna used the four terms like non-self, nirvana, dependent origination. These are like a form of emptiness. It's very complicated sometimes, but as a general, I say that another objective of Nagarjuna, he refuted Abhidharmika traditions. He said that uh, he mentioned that sarva drishti praharanam sunyatam tam chachakmahe. That means sarva drishti. He says sarva drishti means like a view, all the views, avoiding all the views, stay with the state of emptiness. So avoiding all the views. In the commentary, he mentioned the viewpoints of Sarvastivada traditions. So Nagarjuna, he strongly refuted the Abhidharma tradition. And according to Nagarjuna, said Abhidharma is analysis and overanalysis. So he said that okay, we have to state that strictly all are empty. So since all are empty, empty is it can translate in many ways, like impermanence. Impermanence, as you know that we have a just generally, I just give you example. We have to accept aging in our life. We have to accept old age and death. So by this way, we can see that our body is approaching to the death. So it's not stable. It is impermanence. So since we are heading to the death, we have nothing to live, nothing to bring actually. When you die, whatever property we have, we can't carry anything. So we just bring our good karma. Nagarjuna explained this term is like an emptiness. The whole life is such as like a empty of feeling, empty for everything. But emptiness, there are so many ways to explain, you know. But Nagarjuna's key idea to using the term emptiness to explain the term of nirvana, concept of nirvana or freedom or liberation, and non-soul, non-self, what you said, and dependent origination. So this is the this picture was taken from Root Monastery, Root Institute in Buddha Gaya, and it was very wonderful, wonderful monastery. They have a one statue of Nagarjuna. So this temple was built by Lama Zopa Rinpoche. Anyway, so this is the one just form of Nagarjuna, and Nagarjuna used another. During that period, Nagarjuna had to difference with a lot of. He had to participate in debate with Hindu scholar too. So it says that. Debate means during in the past, two groups they sit together. One is follower of the Buddha, one is a follower of the Hinduism or Brahmin. So they have a philosophical argument. So Nagarjuna mostly he participated debate, and he during the debate, his key idea was emptiness. Every time he start his teaching, and he end up with the term of emptiness. By this way, he defends all the arguments. So Nagarjuna was one of the very pioneer scholar of Nalanda traditions. And over the 900 years in the Nalanda University, the, all the many texts were written. And one of the very inspiring texts I like to mention that Shantideva's Buddhicharya Avatara. Buddhicharya Avatara, it means like the guide of the path of the Bodhisattva way of life. So in this text, it have a 11 chapters, and this each of the chapter it mentioned how the path could be. How the life should be dealing with. It is very inspiring text. This text written by Shantideva, who lived in 7th century. So later on, Shantideva also became one of the head, like a say acharya. Acharya means like a chancellor. He became chancellor of this university. Uh, you know, he has two teachings, two texts he wrote in his life. One is a Bodhicharya Avatara, and another one is Siksa Samuchaya. Siksa Samuchaya, this text based on Abhidharmika teaching and talking about the Yogacara Bhumi, like a mind, the concept of the mind, and it's a concomitance. And I like to mention another name of from Nalanda tradition. He is the Shantarakshita. So Shantarakshita, he lived in the 8th century, and he was the he was the pioneer monk who went to Tibet from North India to the land of snow. It was not easy actually, to travel into the land of snow, and it was challenging as well during that period. So it's according to the Tibetan account, Shantarakshita was known as the first monk who traveled to Tibet and provide the insight of Buddhist teaching. So Shantarakshita, he had numbers of disciples, and he was one of the very extraordinary teachers who lived in Nalanda University and brought taught the teachings from Nalanda. all over the India and outside of India. And another, it is the just approximate list. I mean, most of the scholar, they are accepted. They say that there are 17 important scholars. And you can see another name, Aryadeva. He's a student of Nagarjuna, and they also teaching the Madhyamaka traditions. Actually, Nagarjuna's philosophy, the philosophy of emptiness, also known as philosophy of Madhyamaka. Madhyamaka means that middle way of life. Madhyamaka, a philosophy of middle way. Then, so he is the it says that from the Madhyamaka tradition, Mahayana tradition evolved. Some scholar it mentioned, it just they explain in that way. However, um, we know that another name, Asanga and Basubandhu. So actually, those two scholars, I mean, they are the Asanga and Basubandhu. They are the brothers, half brothers. Basubandhu is Asanga's half brother. Those scholars, they lived in the Kashmir, and they also came to Nalanda. They lived there, and they produced many numbers of texts, like Abhidhamma Kosha Vivasha, one of the pioneer texts of Sarvastivada tradition, and later translated into Tibet and China. So we don't have this text in India anymore, but those texts exist in Tibet and China in Sanskrit languages. So those Asanga and Basubandhu, very important. You can see there are numbers of books they produced. And Chandrakirti, he was another, he was a follower of the Nagarjuna actually. He produced the same thing about Madhyamaka, but they say the Prasangika Madhyamaka. There's another division of Madhyamaka tradition. So Chandrakirti, he also based on emptiness teaching, he transformed the teaching in another way, another developing way. And the last one from the Nalanda scholar, Atisha Dipankara Sigian. He was a very respected in all over the India and Tibet too. So this is the one of the mural from Atisha. It is from Tibet actually. So Atisha is the monk who was born in North India and exactly the present day Bangladesh, Dhaka. So he was he was very brilliant monk, and he was the last scholar from India, actually, in the 11th century, before Buddhism disappeared from India. So Atisha, he he went to in his early life, he went to Indonesia for learn the teachings. Then 12 years he stayed in Indonesia and in the region of the Subarnabhumi, he returned to India. Then he joined into the Bikramshila University. It is a sister university of Nalanda tradition and Nalanda University. So he became chancellor for Bikramshila. And Atisha was invited by Tibetan king for many times. Actually, Tibet in the 10th century, they don't have a teachers. Their teaching became chaos. So he invited many times to go Tibet. But Atisha said that since he's a chancellor, for him it's very difficult to leave the own country. And he has so many responsibility with the royal family too. So, however, he did a great sacrifice. I mean, it was very difficult decision, but he did it. Finally, he accepted the invitation. And because Tibetan have a heartfelt feeling that only Atisha could be reform their teaching in the 11th century. So Atisha realized their faith, their long-term thinking, and their respect to as well. So he told that Indian Pandita, Indian scholars, that now I need to leave for Tibet, and you need to take care of this tradition. But Tibet, they need me, since they don't have any teachers, they don't have any teachings anymore, and they need to reform their teachings as well. So Atisha from Bengal, all the way he traveled to Tibet and it was so difficult journey. And the going to the mountain and the land of snow is not easy. So he went to Tibet in his late life when he was became 53 years old. So he spent the 17 years in Tibet. So he was one of the very pioneer monk and scholar who reformed the Tibetan teachings. Based on Atisha's teaching, Tibetan developed the Sankapas Lamrim Lamrim tradition. And then later on, Tibetan have a school, a four school, Gelu, Kadampa, Nimma, and Sakya tradition. So it came later, but Atisha, he was the pioneer scholar who traveled, who initiated the light of Dharma to Tibet. So anyway, we are start from the Gupta dynasty, and then Gupta dynasty that we know that we discussed that during the time of Gupta dynasty, the Nalanda tradition was flourished, and after Gupta dynasty, another dynasty role important roles to propagate the Dharma and also support Nalanda very warm-heartedly and generously. So this is the Pala dynasty, and Pala dynasty originally this kingdom or the ruled in the Bengal area. This is Samata area. So it also have a nearly 300 years history. And from Pala dynasty, they cover also all over the India. They ruled, and they generously support all the scholars of Nalanda, and they also contributed a lot of arts, a lot of monastery, a lot of monuments as well. So this is Shompur Mahavihara. It is located in the northern part of Bangladesh, and it was built by King of Pala, King Dharmapala. So Shompur Mahavihara, it is Shompur University actually. It's a very largest space. But interestingly, Shompur Mahavihara or Bikramshila, they are considered as sister university of Nalanda. So at the moment, we can see the ruins of Nalanda is, in the northern part. Actually, Nalanda, it was a very largest space. So until that Middle East Asian invader came to India, Buddhism actually flourished all over the India, and extraordinarily, the people accepted. And there was, they have to produce not only for literatures, arts, craft, murals, and a lot of things. So until 11th century, I mean, India or all over the Indian subcontinent, they did not have much problem about the Dharma propagation. But after 11th century, when that invader from Middle East Asia arrived to India, they destroy. And that time, Islam start in the 6th century. And after Islam emerged, they take over all the Middle East Asia, and slowly they invaded Afghanistan, Pakistan, Delhi as well. So and then they came to 11th century. They came to northern part of India, and they destroyed when they came here, they destroyed all the Nalanda universities and all the places in all the historical places there. Actually, Pala Kingdom, it was the last dynasty, last Buddhist dynasty who supported the Dharma. But interestingly, those dynasties, they did not develop the weapons. So, but yes, where's the invader came from the Middle East Asia. They are, they use a sword, and they kill very brutally killing there. So it says that when they attacked to Nalanda University, they burned all over the library, and it took 7 months time to burn the library. So that means how big it was. I can't imagine. So it's according to the some Indian historian, they said it took about 7 months to burn all the library in Nalanda University. So I can't imagine that, it's a very extended and large library. Of course, that teaching right now we get from now, we know Nalanda tradition at the moment from the information of China and Tibet. Because after Middle East, this foreign invader attack to the India, so they destroy everything, almost everything, except the ruins. We have a ruins in the India, we have a ruins in Bangladesh, we have a ruins in Nepal too, and almost the teachings almost disappeared. And I mean, Middle East, this invader, they not only invade, they also force the people to convert into their religion. And since, as you know, that people don't have any choice because their family is the first priority, the children should be another priority. So they need to be convert into their foreign religions. So it was happened that how the Dharma was fall down in India. So Nalanda is, as we know that Nalanda has extraordinary contributions, and all the scholars' name, we know that this name, and we know their text as well, and which are recorded in Sanskrit language, but mostly they're recorded into Tibet and China. So we're still lucky that we got at least some text. But yeah, so the Dharma was flourished until 11th century, but after 11th century, it declined. So I am providing you a little bit information that this is the birthplace of the Atisha actually, this one. So this birthplace was located in Dhaka, in Bangladesh. So it is very interestingly they found it 50 years ago. Actually, those people, those all are Muslim, but they are very, they did not know this is the birthplace of Atisha, and they believe something. But 50 years ago, when the Bengal monks they went there and they found the archaeological evidence, they identified these places actually. So we can just see the ruins, actually, some ruins, but it's renovated by the local devotees of Bangladesh. Um, Actually, but painfully that we don't have, we can find it just statue and ruins, only the ruins, no teachings. So then now we are talking about a little bit about 11th century. Yes, after 11th century and 12th century, Dharma was completely disappeared. And 11th to the 18th century, for 800 years, it was very mysterious part. So it was disappeared very strongly, and tiny amount of Buddhist remained. Only the north part of India and some part in Bangladesh, very tiny amount. And late 18th century, what Anagarika Dharmapala and another one monk, his name is Kipasara Mahatera. So both are work together to revival to Dharma in India. So Anagarika Dharmapala, he is a founder of Mahabodhi Society. He is originally from Sri Lanka. So he came to India. He he took a step to take the archaeological, the Indian Buddhist sites, and Buddha Gaya, Saranath, Kushinara, all those places. He said that okay, to get it back from local local people, and this he approached them to get back to give back, return this place to the Buddhist people. So Anagari Dhamapala, he talked to Venerable Kipasana Mahatara, because Kipasana Mahatara was a local Indian. But I mean, as late 18th century, India, Bangladesh, this is a same region actually. They don't. Bangladesh was not born actually, but Kipasana Mahatara was born in Bangladesh, but he was considered as a local Indian monk, and very brilliant monk he was. Interestingly, he did not have a much education, but he convinced the Chancellor of Calcutta University to start the Pali and Sanskrit department. So this is also academic side also he contributed. So academic, archaeologically, and now the Buddhist monastery again rebuilding. Late 18th century is started revival in the Dharma in India again. And another contribution in the last century, in 1950 to 19, this period, 1950, uh, this gentleman, his name is Dr. Ambedkar. He is from uh, he's from actually that it was a interesting story how he converted to the Dharma and how he is interested in the practicing Buddha's teaching. He was the one who wrote a Constitution of India after India became freed from British colony. So after 1947, when India became, they got a liberation, freedom from British. So Mahatma Gandhi asked him to write a constitution. So he, as a person, he came from Dalit society. Dalit is considered as the lowest caste of India. So exactly that he could not be accepted because of his class. And people, high class society, they discriminate him very much. So it hurt him. And he found, fortunately, when he was studying law in US and in England, he found the Buddha's text and he started to read, and he understanding that this is the root teachings and this is the tradition of India. So, and he realized that the Buddha's teaching allowed him to consider people as a human being. Everybody have the same rights. So he converted into Buddhism, and he also motivated many people to, like, more than 50,000 people together. They take a refuge to the Triple Gem in 1950s. So so he was another key contribution in the part, or no, in the to revival the Dharma in India. So now from then, from the 50s to until now, a lot of organization, a lot of group, they are working hard, and they are generously, they make a temple, and they support to the local Indians to revival Buddhism in somehow, they tried their best. And I like to mention that Light of Buddha Dharma Foundation is one of them. So since 2006, they are continue that to work in India, and for the first time actually in this modern period, or I mean the traditional, the chanting, like in Buddha Gaya, all the traditional, they join together, and from since 2006, and every year they are, I mean, uh, organize the chanting and transcribing all the Tipitaka text, like a Pali text as well. So Light of Buddha Dharma also contribute. Buddha Dharma Foundation International also contributing for propagating and for reviving the Dharma in India as well. So, and many temples as well too. I mean, many countries like Bangladesh, in Nepal, and Sri Lankan monasteries, and and the Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, and Myanmar. They're also establishing monastery in India, and they also try to talk to Dharma with the local peoples, and apart from preserving all the pilgrimage area. So this is the thing. I mean that this way now at the present day, the teaching are teaching are, I mean, reviving. But of course, that will India lost that big pain, like 11th century to until the late 18th century. It was a huge gap. So on 11th century, when the foreigner invaded the India, actually they destroy all the cultures, all the heritage. I mean, even text as well. So this is a very painful part. So the way they burned all the text, it seems like they disappeared completely. So anyway, so we are. I mean, we hope that Dharma will be came back there in India and back to return in its root places. We hope that, I mean, within few years, probably, if the way that people are supporting and the way many organizations, many countries and monks are working together, I hope that, I mean, within few years, I mean, within few decades, maybe can bring out more lights to propagate the Dharma as well. So, I mean, this is my my brief overview about the rise and falling of Buddhism, and I welcome that if you have some questions and some discussions.
So right now at
Yeah.
India, what percentage of the population consider themselves Buddhist?
Well, actually, I don't have exact idea. Maybe Santosh maybe can help us to know this information. Very little, I think.
The official figures say about 0.08%, which comes to about 9 or 10 million people. But informally, we think they're more like 25 to 30 million. And it's partly the way the census is enumerated. But yes, we think there's a much larger population than what the official figures are. But officially, it's only about 0.08%. It's about 10 million, 8 or 9 million, 10 million.
Wow. Thank you so much. I think Buddhist people are maybe in the Maharashtra area, maybe they are more, right?
Yes, the largest population would be Maharashtra, UP, and 97% of the Buddhist population would be what we call Ambedkar Buddhists, what we were referring to right now, people who've been embraced Buddhism because they were from the untouchable community, from the Dalit community, so-called, and were influenced as a social movement, a socio-political movement. And the other groups, which are much smaller, would be the Himalayan Buddhists, which are referred to, Bengali Buddhists and others.
I think Bengali Buddhists, they are living in Calcutta, mostly Calcutta, and there's Bihar, not Bihar. I mean, those states like North Indian side, somewhere. Most of the time, yeah.
Assam, yeah.
Assam, yeah, this side, yeah. So, is there any more things that you can discuss? Yeah, just
I would like to just say thank you
yeah.
so much to you, Sanjoy, for bringing a very general overview of the Buddha Dharma. And having worked on the ground for the last 16 years with the foundation, it's really, especially if you follow in the Buddhist philosophy or you've been touched by the Buddha Dharma, being on the ground to visit these sacred sites is really a chance of a lifetime. And I'm hoping that once COVID is over, that we will have a chance to bring a pilgrimage and to have Shantam. I haven't talked to you about this yet, but Shantam Seth is really an amazing person on the ground to show us these sacred sites. And of course, we are doing ceremonies on the ground. And so once COVID is no longer a threat for all of us, Dharma College will open up a pilgrimage being led by Shantam. I haven't talked to you. I'm just sort of opening this up now, but and also we'll ask Richard to also take us there, especially for the students who've been following Revelations of Mind. I think it's so important in one's lifetime to sit under the Bodhi tree and make that connection.
Yeah, that was wonderful. Yeah, yes. Actually, it is a very nice time. I mean, yeah. To be honest, that it offered me many insight. I was as a person, like I traveled to when I was teenage, early teenage. So give me a lot of insight when I was as wondering. I did not know too much about the Buddhism in that time, to be honest. And just wondering that I traveled to some places and all the pilgrimage sites and go to Delhi and return back to Buddha Gaya and talk to monks and back to go to temple. It's a very auspicious feeling. But I mean pilgrimage site. If you travel, it brings you life that the teaching was there, and all the places are exactly accurately explained into the text. So give me very motivation as well. It motivate me as well.
And many of the places
Yeah,
haven't changed much. I mean, there
yeah,
hasn't been a lot of building up. So you're actually, in a way, can walk in the footsteps of the Buddha, almost going back in the time of the Buddha, because the villages still exist. Like in Sankasya, when we go there are just still the potato farmers and, of course, the historical mounds. And but it's wonderful to just be on the ground and to touch it with your own experience and to reflect the history. And that's, so important in terms of like looking at what we understand today in the Buddha Dharma, looking at the roots. Where did it come from? And Mother India it has this wealth of spirituality that's just in the culture. It's just part of the civilization for thousands of years. And here in the West, it's just, in a way, several hundred years come on this land. And so it's so important for us to connect to the roots. Where did it get established? On the land itself with the people. So thank you, Sanjoy, for giving us a very broad overview, historical overview. In 6 classes, we managed to travel through thousands of years of time. And I hope that the next class, we are going to be inviting another professor from George Washington, who's going to be discussing some of the difficult points of why there was the decline. And so
yeah,
Professor
yeah.
Tepar
Heber.
will be talking about this gap, what happened in that period. So that will be another class to look forward to, and we'll be sharing that information. And then we've asked Sanjoy to also continue, if he can, to go more into the philosophical schools that were established in the time, and to go into some more depth about that.
Yeah, yeah. So actually, Professor Haber is a wonderful scholar, and he is also going to teach from the next term. He will talk about this gap, actually, what happened and how that disappeared. So today, I just give you this brief idea about when the people from Middle East Asia came, arrived, and they destroyed the Delhi and the northern part, and Nalanda destroyed. But Professor Haber also give a lot of philosophical argument too. Will provide this class. And yes, sister, one more asked me that I will in the next part of this series, I will continue that for another 6 classes. So it will be provided in depth some early Buddhist teachings, and also that some schools, the main teachings of the school, like such as early Buddhist teaching nirvana and non-self, and those teachings, then evolving to the emptiness and Sarvastivada traditions, how it was, it just give the details idea about this each of the doctrinal and philosophical concept. So I hope that all of you, I hope I can see all of you here there in the classes. So is any more question? Then it is a one more chance to discuss. We still have some time.
Sanjoy, can you talk a little bit about Bangladesh? Because as we all know, Sanjoy is from Bangladesh, and the Sangha, the special elders that came from Bangladesh to reconnect to India. Could you expand on that a little bit about the
Sure.
contribution from Bangladesh to supporting the revival of the Buddha Dharma?
Sure, I can tell it. Actually, Bangladeshi Buddhist historically, I mean, the Buddhist that you can see right now, They are the oldest Buddhist. Oldest Buddhist. I mean, they're a tiny amount. They survived. Even they disappeared. So they moved from the, actually, these people are originated from Magadha state. Then they moved to Vaishali, as we know, the North Indian part. And slowly, they moved from the more south. More north, near close to the ocean. So, the, it's end up Bangladesh end up with the Bay of Bengal. So all the oceans, all the rivers from India, like Ganga and Yamuna, they also end up in the Bay of Bengal, this area, this side. So when the invader started to attack to India from North India, from the move, they exist in the southern part of Bangladesh, which is known as Chittagong, or say Chattogram. Actually, it's originally the name is Chattogram. Just when the British ruled and this zone, they can't pronounce Chattogram, they give the name Chittagong. So it became name as Chittagong. So in the Chittagong, all the, Buddhist people there, they started to live there, and Chittagong is very close to Myanmar. And in the historically, they are part of the Argan state as well. So anyway, so those Buddhists have survived there, and late 18th century, when Venerable Kipasara Mahatera was thinking that, okay, I need to go to the North India, Buddha Gaya, Calcutta, this area, then I need to try to do revival something. That time, Anagarik Dhamapala from Sri Lanka, he also came at the same time. So both have a brilliant friendship, extraordinary friendship. So what's happened, Anagarik Dhamapala's name actually very well known by India and Sri Lanka and all over the world. Actually, Kipasana Mahatera's name not well known because nobody write about him from his side. Very tiny documents we have about Kipasana Mahatera. But Kipasana Mahatera was the one who translated the language for Anagarik Dhamapala as well. Because Anagarik Dhamapala came from Sri Lanka. He did not know Indian local language. So these are the local people. And they have the same mission. So Kipasana Mahatera, first he established a monastery in Calcutta, which is known as Dharmankur Bihara. And so he asks Anagari Dhamapala that, okay, you can find a monastery as well here. So close to Dharmankur Mahabihara, they found one monastery, Mahabodhi Society found another monastery too. So then both of them, the word for Buddha Gaya, this place, because this place was belonged to during the time from Brahmin priest, Hindu priest. So they really worked very hard for that to bring it back to the Buddhist people, and so that Buddhist people can arrange a chanting ceremony and some activities as well. So they really worked very hard that time. And Kipasana Mahatera, as we said, Sister Omo asked that Alexander Cunningham, as you know, everyone knows his name, Alexander Cunningham. Maybe Santosh knows better. Of course, you know better than me. So he was the one excavated, all the pilgrimage area in India, Bangladesh, Nepal. So Kipasana Mahatera also helped him to give me some information that where is it exactly to get it, because for the during the British period, since they have ruling the country, so they have resources to excavate, to providing all the fundings, So there's, but anyway, that we are so grateful that Alexander Cunningham, who kindly he discovered all the pilgrimage areas, and so that at the moment now, Indian government, trying to rebuild and reconstruct some of the place, and they took it as their pride as well. So, however, that as we say that Bengal is still exists, a tiny amount. But Bengal have a historical movement the people initially during the time of Buddha's period, they start up to practice Dharma, and Ashoka's time they belong to Ashokan. This period like Vibhajavada that time, And later, when Nalanda was flourished, Bengal was a strong zone for Mahayana and Vajrayana traditions. It was a strong zone. And when you excavate we found a lot of Buddhist statue from excavation. And all the statue that represented Bodhisattva figure, Mahayana and Vajrayana and Tantrayana too. So, and until 11th century, it was strong area and for practice. Actually, Nalanda, as you know, the Pal dynasty originated in Bengal. The Pal dynasty strongly support Nalanda University too. So, this during that time, a lot of stupas, monasteries was built in all over the Bengal and India as well. So Bengal, when I say Bengal, is considered like present-day Bangladesh and West Bengal, which is Calcutta of India. So actually, it's because of partition, 1947, West Bengal is one side and Bangladesh is different. But actually, historically, they are the same land. They speak the same language, same culture, everything. So they have they are the Buddhists. You can see it from Bangladesh right now. They are the oldest, actually, oldest one. But even though they have many obstacles, this is the last generation who did not convert it from to Hinduism and Muslim. But these people are trying their best to survive there. And of course, despite recently there have many incidents happen every time that we heard from the news as well. Like last 2012, a lot of monastery was burned by extremist group. So, but they are trying for surviving their best. So, is there any more thing? Then we still have 5 minutes time.
Sanjay, I just wanted to, I wanted to give my thanks as well for what's been a very, very extremely well presented and very, very rich set of teachings or instruction. One just a detail thing here. I was going through my notes and I saw that you had sent out PDFs for all the classes, but
yes.
I don't seem to see it for lecture 3. And I don't know if that's just my bad mail tending or whether they didn't go out or not, but maybe if you could either resend that or stick it up on the Google Drive or something, that would be great.
Sure, I will resend to you actually, yeah.
Thanks.
No problem.
Yeah, I'd like to just add my gratitude and also my apologies that I haven't been able to attend very much, partly, mainly because of the timing here. I just happened to awaken at this last moment.
And thank you very much, actually, for joining, because it's midnight in India.
Yes, it's
thank
1
you.
p.m. 1 a.m. So, but I just felt I want to just touch base. I knew this was the last session, and thank you so much to Wang Mo and to Sanjo, and just to do this. It's so crucial, even though there are few of us on this. This is it's a human heritage that we are trying to revive and trying to bring to the world. But I do have a question which it doesn't have to be answered now, and maybe will be answered with the next lecture series.
Okay.
But I think this mystery of history of the disappearance of Buddhism in India. I only came in at the end, but I wouldn't lay it all on the footstep on the doorstep of the Islamic invasions or the invasion. I think Buddhism was very much in decline well before that, and primarily because of a clash between Brahmanism and Buddhism, and even people like Xuanzang in the 7th century are mentioning this.
Right.
So I think it's important. I just mention it because it's sort of slightly folklorish history which is going on for a long time, saying that it is because of Islam that Buddhism died. I think we have to look very carefully at where the clash came, because of the fundamental understanding of Natma and Atma, etc. And so I just flag it, and maybe we can.
Actually, exactly the same point. Last time, that Professor Haver, we discussed about that, for faculty meetings. So he was bringing up actually this point in his classes. He make his curriculum, like how the Buddhism disappeared from Hinduism, and some historical, some doctrinal clash. Yeah, as you mentioned, he's bringing
Yeah,
all this.
I also flag it because I think it's important in the contemporary context. It's not just
Right.
at that time. What is
Right.
happening in India today
Right.
is a reflection of that time. So I think it's important to understand that dynamic of this fundamentally philosophic base of difference.
Yes. Yes.
And we also have to caution ourselves that we don't fall into that trap of animosity and othering the other.
Right.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you too. Yeah, there is so many actually reasons that why the teaching was disappeared. It did not happen for one day. Actually, those I mean, another I read one book. It mentioned, I can't remember this text. In the 11th century, when the Islam was forced, the invader, they forced the people to convert into their religion. People choose to convert into Buddhist people, choose to convert to Islam, because they didn't have any idea what is Islam. But they have a problem with the Hindu. They said, okay, even we die, we don't want to convert into Hinduism. We want to convert into Islam. So this is another argument that why, yeah, it makes sense that the clash, have a huge clash between the Hinduism and and the Buddhism. But yeah, interestingly, like Gupta dynasty, the support that both of the sect, I mean, Hinduism and Buddhism, simultaneously during the time of the 3rd century to until 7th century. But of course, Pal dynasty, these kings are Buddhist. So during that time, Buddhism became a strongholder. Not Hindu, but anyway. But I think some part of you were right. There's a lot of argumentation, a lot of reason that why, how those two groups, those school are, they have some fighting to each other actually. Yeah, but it's sometimes it turns into the worst. Yeah, it's a long discussion.
And just to kind of close on, the inspiration behind putting this class together is that, at Dharma College, the Dharma has arrived here in the West, and how it lands here in Western culture with Western philosophy and a whole kind of language, Western language, will take its own, in a way we've seen through the history, Dharma will land here and have a Western presentation to it. And that's what we at Dharma College are trying to really further out, is that we respect that it does have its authentic roots, but there's something unique about being here in the West that we can embrace. And how that unfolds is for us to begin to understand and recognize what Dharma means for Westerners. But I think it's so important to recognize that there is a 2,000 plus year history that goes back to Mother India, that we can see the depth and the richness of the philosophical schools and the thinking that each of these schools were presenting itself. And maybe we can see that, thousands of years forward here in the West, how those points of understanding mind will become more and more, integrated into the Western life.
Yeah, I hope so. It's now
And how
expanding.
the Western understanding of Buddhism is reinforming what is happening in some of the traditional Buddhist countries. So it's actually the Western Buddhism is actually very powerful in terms of its media and its understanding, and especially the psychological approach to Buddhism, which is now reinforming, whether it's meditation in Japan or whether it's, of course, in India. And, so I think it's interesting. It's very, very important work that what you're doing. I think really key to this civilizational shift, and especially collective consciousness we hope to shift. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Actually, I also missed one point to speak, like SN Goenka. So for reviving Buddhism in Dharma in India, he also have a mindfulness movement. This movement also a lot, being in Vipassana movement, like insight meditation, have a lot of insight, a lot of breakthrough to bring up the tradition in India. And the Vipassana movement is also right now, it is also going on in the in the Western society as well too. So Vipassana movement, I mean, it is giving a huge insight. Like, I mean, bring back to, apart from religious aspect, just cultivation and mind training, and mental fact, observing all the mental factors, and the all the mindfulness approach. I think it is a new. I mean, it's the tools like now for lasting, for continuing, and a lot of people are interested to follow this tradition. Okay, so thank you very much. Thank you all for participating in the class, and thank you very much as well. I hope to see you all. I hope to see you all for next term. And as a traditional way, before you close the class, then we're just sharing our merits to everyone. And let me allow to lead one Pali chanting. Bhavatu sabba mangalang rakkantu sabba devata sabba buddhanu bhavena sada sutte bhavantu te. Bhavatu sabba mangalang rakkantu sabba devata sabba dharmanu bhavena sada sutte bhavantu te. Bhavatu sabba mangalang rakkantu sabba devata sabba sanganu bhavena sada sutte bhavantu te. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You are
Thank you, Sanjoy.
welcome.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you.